right. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce the Vice President of Leadership and Education for the Association of the United States Army. Please give General Les Smith a big round of applause. I'm going to take my coloring book with me.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Come on now, you can do better than that. Good morning. We don't know what time zone we're on. We just get back from Europe, but this topic is so apropos that we really need to talk about contracting, how we make it better and do better for our warfighter. On behalf of General Brown, our CEO and President, welcome to the Army Contracting and Procurement Hot Topic. Today's theme is revolutionizing contracting and procurement via speed, execution, and innovation. This event will provide an exceptional opportunity for senior leaders and executives to engage on how the Army is modernizing its tools and practices to increase efficiency, speed, and responsiveness of the contracting process at the policy, operational, and tactical levels. No pressure, Doug. Using a mix of new technology and existing authorities, Army and industry leaders will define how today's contracting enterprise will keep pace with the demands of the contemporary operating environment. Before we hear from our keynote speaker, we would like to welcome DiRee McGuire, Vice President and Division Manager of the Army Division at MANTECH, to provide opening remarks. DiRee, the floor is yours. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for the morning, Major General Douglas S. Lowrey, Commanding General of the U.S. Army Contracting Command, ACC, at Redstone Arsenal. I'm sure you all know the ACC is charged with providing contracting expertise for the procurement of supplies and services needed to support the Army. Today, that means more than simply supplying our warfighters with tanks, trucks, aircraft, bullets, and bombs. It means implementing innovations and modernizing IT systems and processes ahead of our adversaries to ensure that the Army and joint forces have what they need to win every day, anywhere, every time. Excuse me. Major General Lowrey is a trailblazer, and through his field experience on Operation New Dawn, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation United Response, and Operation Intrinsic Action, he has seen firsthand the progressive need for timeliness, efficiency, and effectiveness in contracting outcomes. Major General Lowrey has served in multiple leadership positions within the Army Contracting Command and possesses a deep understanding of what it takes to ensure that our warfighters always have the edge in combat by driving outstanding performance in contracting. As a conscientious leader, he looks to embrace concepts and technologies that can transform contracting and drive continuous improvement at speed. One key focus right now is applying the power of AI to improve efficiency and productivity in contracting. Major General Lowrey is leading ACC teams across the Army to not just be good, but to be great. Fun fact, he is the only active duty Native American general officer and a self-proclaimed best-looking general in the Army. I'm sure I share everyone's interest and excitement in hearing Major General Lowrey on what comes next. Please give him a warm welcome.
Good morning. Yeah, that was self-proclaimed, so, go with it. Hey, so it is an honor to be here. But before I get started, I do want to give a round of applause. Everybody give a round of applause for all the people that set this up, the AUSA sponsors, and everybody involved in this. So how about a round of applause for everybody? And again, it is just cool to be here with so many senior Army procurement and leaders of the defense industry. So thank you for being here. The challenges we face in Army acquisition sometimes feel like building a plane while it's already in flight, and many people have heard this before. But lately, with the rapid modernization and transformation we're seeing, it feels like we're trying to build an entire fleet all at once, as well as learn to fly it. It's a complex undertaking. But today I want to talk about revolutionizing Army acquisitions and contracting. This isn't just about some simple efficiency. It's about being responsible stewards of our taxpayer dollars, providing unwavering support to our warfighters, and aggressively driving modernization for the future fight. The mission in front of us is tough, but everything we do directly impacts the lethality and readiness of our soldiers. As the CG of the Army Contracting Command, my focus is how we, as the Army's main buying agent, can best support our forces. It's crucial to understand that ACC doesn't operate in a vacuum. Our alignment to Army Materiel Command, the broader Army, and the Office of the Secretary of Defense is essential for us to succeed. Our leaders have given us clear and urgent directives. The Secretary of Defense has prioritized revitalizing the defense industrial base, reforming acquisitions, and fielding new technologies. He's also emphasized a right to repair approach, ensuring we can maintain and upgrade systems without being hampered by intellectual property restrictions. The Secretary of the Army has been just as clear. He acknowledged that the Army's acquisition system is bogged down by years of inefficiency, slow processes, and wasteful spending. He's emphasized the urgent need for transformation, pointing to lessons learned from ongoing conflicts that show how quickly available technology can change established power dynamics. He envisions a lean, lethal warfighting force built on stronger partnerships with the private sector and a more agile venture capital-like approach to innovation. ACC is fully committed to support these priorities, getting combat-ready formations out the door, improving the soldier experience, and increasing lethality. The Army Transformation Initiative provides a crucial opportunity to better position ACC and the sustainment enterprise to deliver capabilities. We're already leading the way by leveraging technologies like advanced analytics and artificial intelligence that will help our sustainment enterprise stay ahead of evolving threats. So what does this look like in practice for ACC? It means accelerated modernization is a top directive for us. We're conducting deep internal reviews to eliminate unnecessary processes and identify opportunities for regulatory relief. Empowering leaders at local level. I use the term ownership versus empower, and many that work for me know what I mean by the difference. Risk-based decisions, making better risk-based decisions, but don't be afraid to push the envelope. In fact, ACC leads many of these efforts with suggested best practices to reduce some of the more time-consuming tasks. We're actively contributing to the critical FAR, DFAR, AFAR's rewrites. To speed up our processes even more, we're strategically using technology. Take our fast track tool, for example. This AI-enabled tool, which went from concept to deployment within 60 days, assists with an initial draft review to help our technical experts focus on the critical components of proposals. So your proposals. Depending on how complex this acquisition is, it can cut analysis from weeks to hours. That's a huge change in our speed and efficiency. Similarly, our labor cost analysis tool, also called LCAT for short because we're in the Army and we like to have acronyms, allows vendors to share standard cost data, which is pulled into a dashboard in seconds, showing interactive labor category changes for quick evaluation. Faster reviews directly lead to better financial management, which in turn helps our customers fund other critical priorities. I'm gonna go off script here for a little bit, but I just want to brag on the cultural change that you have within ACC of AI. When I first took command back last June, we issued a challenge. And this is when we were using Camo GPT, and many of you have heard of it. And my challenge was this, go break it. It was that simple. Go use it and tell us how we can use it. And internal to ACC, we had 83 use cases of AI, right? We picked a winner, gave them a great coin and a star note and 59 minutes or some hours off. But what it did 4 months later is we challenged the Air Force. And when we challenged the Air Force, we went from 80 to 240 use cases. And this is all developed from the local level. So the cultural change that it's happening with AI within ACC is profound. But it's also profound at the Army. As they rapidly integrate advanced technologies, autonomous systems, AI, machine learning, robotics to boost both efficiency and combat power. How is ACC proactively finding and working with companies that specialize in these areas? We're proactively seeking out companies specializing in the areas, leveraging platforms like TradeWinds to identify pre-approved vendors with the necessary security authorizations, making for a seamless and secure integration. However, innovation isn't just about technology. It's about culture. We are empowering our people to challenge the status quo and take smart risks. In doing this, we find faster, better ways to deliver for the mission. Our current acquisition practices too often focus on the process instead of the results, which stifles innovation and drives up costs. To get past this, we're embracing solution-driven acquisitions, inviting industry to propose solutions, and using statements of objective instead of our rigid performance work statements. To encourage innovative ideas, this builds a more dynamic and effective partnership. ACC has effectively been using various innovative contracting authorities for years. The valuable lessons we learned from our rapid support during the COVID-19 response really helped us spread the effective use of other transaction authorities across all our contracting centers. This wasn't just a temporary fix. It fundamentally changed how we approach a certain acquisition. In fiscal year 2024 alone, 7% of ACC's total obligations were OTAs. To put that into perspective, that's over 1,500 actions and $5.9 billion. Again, cultural change. Just the other day, a CSB oversees a contracting support brigade used in OTA. That's the first time in ACC's history. So we are culturally changing. We recently put out an open solicitation designed to give the Army access to innovative solutions, helping the U.S. Army adapt quickly and stay competitive against adversaries. This shows our commitment to using all the flexibility provided by the law and acquisition regulations to pick vendors whose solutions offer the greatest potential for Army missions. Enabling multi-domain operation requires a shift towards data-centric contracting. We recognize the importance of intellectual property. We also need to secure data rights up front to enable flexible, cost-effective sustainment, especially regarding additive manufacturing and 3D printing. The right to repair initiative is critical to this regard, balancing industry innovation with operational readiness. Looking ahead, I'm excited for the panel discussions and your questions, which will delve deeper into integrating advanced capabilities, leveraging innovative contracting authorities, streamlining the acquisition lifecycle, and delivering agile command and control solutions. Despite these strides, challenges remain. Our modernization goals demand more, faster, and with greater value. We are fundamentally changing our culture, becoming trusted business advisors to our supported units, engaging early in the requirements process to build in contracting efficiencies. Ultimately, our global operations ensure the Army is ready and modernized, providing top-notch contracting support to our warfighters. With a dedicated team operating in over 100 locations, we support expeditionary missions, quality of life initiatives, and the projection of power globally. As a combat multiplier, ACC can deploy anywhere in the world on short notice to provide operational contract support, planning, policy, execution, administration, and oversight. As Secretary Driscoll said, the Army needs to buy capabilities, not just programs. My responsibility and the responsibility of every leader in the ACC is to deliver effectively, efficiently, and with unwavering dedication. Technology is vital, but people are essential. We need skilled professionals to translate requirements, manage contracts, and to adapt to the ever-evolving threat landscape. Investing in our people, equipping them with the right skills, and empowering them to lead is not just a good idea, it's a smart investment. ACC stock is low right now. It's time to buy. Everything we do, from the largest contract to the smallest purchase, should be transparent to our warfighters. They deserve to know we're working tirelessly to provide them with the resources they need when they need them. They deserve nothing but our absolute best. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this was real quick and I hit a lot of key buzzwords up here, but I am open for your questions. And to sweeten the pot, question number one, whoever you are, you get the highly coveted QR code made of metal for the Army open solicitation.
Sir, Brian McCullough from Lockheed Martin. Thanks a lot for coming to address us today. Appreciate your thoughts. Munitions are in the news as being very important. How do you see contracting for critical munitions for the U.S. Army, changing moving forward in general? Maybe there is no change, but thank you.
If I, first off, need to give you this because you're the first guy, so. Yeah, so critical munitions, and I'll just go with all munitions, right, is number one, we need more magazine depth. We're getting there, but I think it takes investment from both sides to make this work, as well as our manufacturing processes, right? We're still manufacturing World War II style on specific ammunition lines, right? And that's not the real technology stuff, right? The missiles and all that is different. They weren't really done in World War II, but I'm talking just the high explosive ammunition, right? So again, two things. Number one, more investment from the Army, and number two is more investment from industry. We're willing to come to the table, but we just got to get better, right? And a manufacturing process that is of this century. Does that kind of answer your question? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for being here. Dave Picassi with CMA Technologies. As the speed of procurement and the speed of contracting increases, which is fantastic, how do we then couple that with FedRAMP and the IL attainment, like IL5, IL6? How do we combine the speed that we want with the process that is needed for IT security for the Army to use? And I don't know if I jumped the gun, and maybe somebody's going to be talking about that later, but those two don't seem to match.
Yeah, so they are. They are gonna talk about that later. And my two directors sitting right there are really the smart people when it comes to that. Miss Danielle Moyer. I would tell you this, right? Technology develops so fast. Everybody says contracting's slow, right? To get it on contract. But really, when you look at it, the contract is actually pretty fast. It's the requirement development. So if you can tell me what you want, you can't tell me I want software. And I've had that before, right? So it's more about, I want this capability, and here's what can be bought available today, right? When you start talking about the security and all of it, I'm a little out of my league on that, to be quite honest with you. How do we keep up? I think we need to buy it, test it, use it, and eventually make a decision which way we're gonna go, right? If we wanna keep going that and changing software and software companies, it's got some unintended consequences. But on the reverse side is sticking with one has unintended consequence too, right? Much more complex. I'm not an IT guy, sorry.
Good morning, sir. Mackenzie, AEI. Can you speak a little bit more about what will happen to your organization when requirements processes change and significantly shorten, which I think is the expectation of this team, broadly speaking? You know, where the majority of things have requirements documents under 10 pages. And I mean the majority of things, and you buy the most things. Where there aren't long, laborious processes like JSIDs anymore. I think in 4 years, these are going away. That's the intent. How would that change your job?
How will that change the way we do business? Actually, I think it's a huge opportunity, right? You know, the way that technology is infusing our systems now, right? It's no longer just a tank that shoots. It's a living, breathing, almost organism in and of itself, right? It can sense, it can do all these things. If we try to get the perfect requirement, we're going to be late to the game, right? If we try to go through this perfect process, we're going to be late to the game. So I actually think it's a huge opportunity for us to field stuff faster and get better equipment into the hands of the soldiers. I also believe that we can commercialize a lot of things, right? Let's take it off the line. It's already been tested. Ford, Chevy, you know, pick a Caterpillar or whatever, right? We don't need a dozer that has all these mil specs. Let's just go to Caterpillar and use it, right? When it breaks, they got the repair parts. We don't need all this long tail. So to get back to your question, I don't know if I'm actually answering it, but I do believe that there's opportunity to get rid of that. Specifically for us though, when I look back, you know, a lot of the things I hear is contracting slow. So there's 3 parts to this, right? And actually I would say there's 4, but I won't go into the 4th one because it's really the contract itself. There's who wants it, right? The supported unit, the customer. I really prefer the term supported unit, and that could be a PEO. My supported unit is the Army. There's the commercial support environment. There's the actual contractor, right? And then there's the contracting. But if we reduce the definition of requirements, right, and allow industry to come up with better solutions, it will help us. I think we're often, as you heard me talk about, let's go to statement of objectives versus performance work statements. We're too restrictive, right? We are way too restrictive. Why don't we just say, I need a truck? I mean, there's got to be a little more to it, but to simplify it, you get my point. Does that kind of answer your question? Okay. Yeah, it's in our doctrine. So it's contracting organization. So everybody has heard of Sun Tzu, right? See yourself, see the enemy, see the train. But when you're in the procurement world, you really have to look at 4 different lenses. And it's actually what we're teaching our young majors right now and NCOs. So you have to see the contracting organization. I would put an S with parentheses around it because it's much bigger than just the organization that you're working for and what's available. You have to see the contract means. So not the IDIQ firm fixed price. Is it an external support contract? Is it a theater support contract? Is it a system support contract? You have to understand what the supported unit wants and needs are. And then lastly, you have to understand the commercial support environment. And truly at the strategic level, what is the will and the ability of the commercial support environment to provide what you want? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. My name is Annie Courtney with MANTECH, and you had mentioned that you're using an AI fast track tool. I was wondering if you could give us some examples of how you have used that tool to yield time savings in your analysis process.
I'm going to briefly talk about it,
Okay.
but the good-looking gentleman right there, he turned around looking for somebody. It's Mr. John Jaloki. He's SES. He's the director at ACC Detroit. So basically what it does is takes your proposals, right? And keep in mind, on some of these, we may get 50, 60 proposals. If you've never sat on a source selection evaluation team, oh, it's a good time, right? It's a lot of long hours looking through every single word. Well, what this does is it doesn't summarize it. You still have to read it, but it pulls out key things to focus on, right? Here's the strengths of that proposal. Here's the weaknesses of that proposal, right? Here's the things that need clarifications on that proposal. But I believe John's going to talk about it later. So that'll help. What it's done on those that are, I'll call rather simple or simplified, it really helps us, right? So if we're using, let's say we're using grass cutting services, right? We're buying lawnmower services. That's pretty easy to do, right? It cuts all that administrative minutia of going through, writing everything down, of just, it kind of summarizes what we need to look at, right? In one acquisition, we went from probably would have been months to 1 week or days. Yep.
General, good to see you. Kirk Volmike with Microtech. General question, it's probably for future panel. With reforms, it's back to source selection evaluation approaches. Realize the services, everybody's talking, but take the Air Force. Highly technical, it defaults to lowest price. In the Army, it's best suited, oftentimes defaults to lowest price. So with the focus on reform, how are we going to readdress the buying and the evaluation approaches, which are still decades old and removed from the imperatives and just the challenges of today's environment, especially services? It's kind of a loaded question, but I think it's an important question that's been missed by two presidential commissions on contracting reform, especially the FAR rewrites. We really got to get back to readdressing best value of the 90s isn't best value today, but what is best value for the future? Or is it a different evaluation scheme that needs to be pursued? Just a thought for the group. Thank you.
So just to respond to it real quick, I'll give you my thoughts. Is there is a FAR rewrite going on. I don't know what the end state is going to be yet. Hopefully it gets a little thinner. There is an DFARS rewrite and there is an AFARS rewrite. But the approach to that, especially on the AFARS, has been not tell us what needs to change. It's the flip of tell us what needs to go away, or why you have to justify why that's in there, which I think is a good cultural mindset. Hopefully that's happening at the DFARS and the FAR level as well, but that I don't know at this point in time. The comment on LPTA best value, right? Or I know you have seen multiple documents that come in and say, oh, we're gonna use best value trade-off, right? And you start looking at it and you're like, you didn't trade off anything. Right? You just went straight to LPTA, right? Lowest price technically acceptable. I think hopefully that we can start developing better, what I will say is evaluation criteria that's truly defined. If you're going to use a trade-off type evaluation criteria, much like a course of action of do I attack from the left or the right, that it's truly defined, that we can have something to hang our hats on as we go forward. That kind of get after what you're saying. Thanks, sir.
Sergey Pokolodin, Cascade. General Lowrey, thank you for your insights. Sir, I'm going to read off my phone. We are a Ukrainian origin defense company, the only known firm operating an active electronic warfare platform protecting our infrastructure in combat conditions for over 2.5 years now. We've now established a US presence, but as a new startup in the States, it's very difficult to understand how to get traction, how contracting works, and who even talk to. What's your advice for companies like us, foreign-born but allied, innovative, and proven in the war, on how to access the Army acquisition system and avoid getting lost?
So first of all, thank you for being here, and what your country's doing is phenomenal, right? So I personally applaud you. A little hard to hear you. Kind of the microphone was going in and out a little. I think gist of your question is how do I, as a non-U.S. company, enter the U.S. market, right? Okay. So it depends on what market you're trying to enter. And what I mean by that, if it's ammunition, we can talk. Most things we can talk and help you out. I think the one thing that comes to mind right now, and I don't know what your product is, or your product or service is. Jamming systems. Okay. Yeah, the best thing I can tell you is there's Miss Danielle Moyer. Stand up, wave, Danielle, like parade. I would talk to her, right? She's probably the best person to talk to right now, and look at our Army open solicitation.
Okay, sir, we got one last question for you.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Scott Cohen with Atlantic Diving Supply. To tag on to what this gentleman was saying, with the new objectives and initiatives that you all have at ACC, how will that impact, or do you see a significant impact supporting our foreign partners?
To support
Our foreign partners.
foreign partners and allies?
Yes, sir.
Are you referring it to through foreign military sales?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have a little bit of experience in this as the United States Army Security Assistance Commanding General, but I wasn't very good at it because I only got to do it for 10 months. It's supposed to be a joke, guys. Okay. All right. So I think in the past we have waited on the country, partner or ally, to come to us and say we want to buy this. I think we need to do a better job and look at what the country wants, what the country needs, and wants and needs are two different things. But I think we have to look at, from our perspective also, of what we want the country to have, what we need the country to have, or partner or ally. And the reason why I think that's so important is, 30 years ago, we were, if you look back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, some people will say, when did the globe turn into a single economy? But now look, it is a single economy, right? So whatever our FMS requirements are, not only help us, but it helps them. I think we'll be able to get, for specifically for FMS, I believe a lot of restrictions have been lifted on the type of things that we can give away. But there are still some restrictions depending on the country that we will give it to. But I also think we will be able to get it to what I'll say is get it to market, get it to the country faster. But there's still, depending on what it is, you know, there's still production lead times. Does that answer your question, sir? Thank you.
Sir, thank you for being here. That was a great start to the morning. Please give General Lowrey a big round of applause.